should have Anorak Corner, not just Idiot's Corner, because Kevin has made a perfectly valid point, which is entirely forgivable. But because I am an Anorak, living in Anorak's Corner, I have to actually correct him. So Kevin says, hilarious that Badenoch should cite her visit to a Harris Academy when the controlling interest is held by Lord Harris, a well-known Tory. Actually, because my brain works in mysterious ways and I have so little faith in Fleet Street and newspapers, I follow a lot of trade and specialist media. And I remembered when I read that from Kevin that back in July of last year, Lord Harris came out and revealed that he'd switched his allegiances from Conservative to Labour. It was significant because he was described by Michael Gove as a hero. He was his hero, but Michael Gove's hero switched to Labour in July of last year. I'll leave you to speculate. Actually, no, I think he may have written the article for the Times, if we're going to be fair. And we should be, frankly. Natasha Clark is here. So I think that you did suggest that education would come up, but as something of a wild card, whereas, once again, she spent all 6 questions on a subject that isn't necessarily understood by many people.
Yeah, not least of all you and I.
Well, speak for yourself. What do you want to know?
Okay.
No,
What's
I'm
the
joking.
name of the bill,
I'm
James?
joking,
What's the name of the bill?
The Education and Thingamy Bill.
Schools Wellbeing Bill. So this is it's obviously education is a wide topic, and I think that's why Kemi Badenoch's gone in on it, because it does have a lot of appeal to a lot of parents. And actually, under the Tories, arguably, there was a fairly good record to point to on education and school standards generally, amongst English and maths specifically, which is what she talked about in the first question, going up under the Tories. They're now in a huge row, the government and Labour that is, over this schools bill, which is a bit of, we call it a Christmas tree bill in Westminster because it includes so many different things and everybody decides to pin it all on one bill. And then you get the Conservatives saying they're going to vote against it. And then the Labour Party can say, you're voting against cheaper school uniforms, you're voting against free school meals, you're voting against this new out-of-school register so we can keep track of lost kids, and you're voting against all of these things. But actually, there have been some legitimate criticisms of this schools bill from education leaders, including those who are involved in the Harris Academy, including one of the Harris Academy's, Sir Dan Moynihan, which I'm told has expressed doubts about the national curriculum, which is it opens up a bit of a row about sort of local versus national government. Should it be right that national government are telling every single school exactly what to teach, or should we give teachers more flexibility in what kind of things they should be teaching to kids? The other thing is about pay for workers. Now, obviously, Labour have said that they want to increase and they don't want to any unqualified teachers to be working in schools. That was one of the promises they put forward in their manifesto. Last night, the government were forced to accept an amendment on this schools bill, which is going to clarify a little bit of some of the rows and the confusion about this, which will mean that there will be a floor and a ceiling for teachers' pay, which they hope is going to stem some of that criticism. So it's not completely unrelated to Westminster politics, and it is something that is actively being talked about in Westminster and in politics. But does it have a wider appeal to the electorate at hand? Does it have a wider appeal to you and I? It's a very niche topic, and it's quite detailed and quite technical.
I think a lot of homeschooling parents are worried. But again, I don't know what salience that has on the broader political stage.
Yeah, so obviously Sarah Sharif's uncle and father that kept her at home and used homeschooling rules to keep her out of the watch of her teachers is being used by Keir Starmer, and you heard him say you had him use that phrase at Prime Minister's questions. This was a man a girl that was killed, that was taken out of school by her abuser, and this legislation will close that gap. Keir Starmer was pretty strong on this, actually, and I don't think it's particularly a topic that he usually talks about. So actually, I thought him at the very end was pretty good there, despite Kemi Badenoch saying he needed to get out more.
Why do you think she's doing that? Just made her sound a bit small, didn't it?
Come on, Keir Starmer's visited a school before. Yeah. We've all gone to a school.
Well, you say that. I think we all presumed when they were talking about the child sex abuse inquiries that Kemi Badenoch had at least met some survivors of child sex abuse, didn't we? And of course, it subsequently turned out that she hadn't. Ed Davey, we probably should talk about a little more. We usually ignore him. I mean, social care and Brexit are all he needs, really, for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, he could easily use social care and Brexit to keep bashing both the Labour Party and the Conservatives over the head with for the next 4 years, and I think very effectively too. Talking about a trade deal, Keir Starmer responded pretty short and sweet. We will not lower our standards on a trade deal. And actually, I was watching.
There's not going to be a trade deal. Whoever's in Downing Street, there's absolutely, and whoever's in the White House, there's no interest in it for America because the balance of trade is so hugely skewed in their favour anyway.
Yeah, well, which is why Keir Starmer should be at least knocking on the door and asking for the trade talks to reopen, which obviously shut under Joe Biden. It wasn't not a priority for him, and I'm sure that if there is a trip to Washington anytime soon, that will be one of the first things on his list to talk about. But yes, it's not going to happen. A trade deal is not going to happen. The Conservatives have done as much as they can with these sort of mini sector by sector deals. I don't think they're going to get much closer.
Mini sector by deals.
Yeah.
Memorandums of understanding, weren't they? The ones that Kemi Badenoch signed that did absolutely nothing, that changed not a single jot of our trading relationship with America.
But it will open up this debate, though, for Keir Starmer, right? He wants to get close to the EU. Johnny Reynolds, the business secretary, talking today about closer alignment. Johnny, Jonathan, Johnny.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was called Johnny. You live and learn. Carry on.
He was talking earlier about closer alignment with the European Union, and you've also got on one hand him also saying we want to talk about a trade deal. I don't think it's going to be possible for the government to do both. How are they going to be able to move close to the EU and also move close to the US at the same time? I think it's pie in the sky thinking from Labour.
It's going to have to choose. In fact, we'll talk more about the options open to him and the calls from Ed Davey for him to take one of them shortly with a bona fide trade expert. Interesting question from Michael. Badenoch goes on about teachers' pay and then demonises them for being in a union. I don't understand. She was sort of trying to have her cake and eat it on that front.
Yeah, look, it's classic. We talked loads about in our previous iterations of Prime Minister's questions about the Jeremy Corbyn lever that Rishi Sunak used to pull.
Yes.
And I think for Kemi Badenoch, one of those levers is going to be the trade union lever instead. She's going to pull that when she feels like she's going to be able to make a good political point. So I think the National Education Union, she basically said that there is no one that's going to be benefiting from this. Who is benefiting? It's not teachers, it's not parents. Outcomes will be restricted. Who is going to benefit? It's going to be the unions, and they're going to ruin children's education. A pretty big
But by the
claim
unions,
there.
She means the teachers.
Well, exactly. They are. Firstly, they are the same
it's
people.
a union of what, Kemi? Someone might say.
National
and she'd
Union
go,
of...
You don't understand. You're not as clever as me.
You don't understand.
You
the
need to
unions.
get out more. You need to read some books. It's a
Get to the
union
school.
of things. And it's definitely not going to help the teachers. It's only going to help the unions of
the teachers.
Of the teachers.
Yeah.
Well done, Galaxy Brain. I'll answer that question I asked you earlier with a cunning clip from GBB's of all places.
Where you watched the inauguration, were you in the room? Were you in the rotunda?
No, didn't make the cut, sadly. I had a good seat, but no, I mean, look, frankly,
I saw Boris Johnson in there in rotunda. Is he now the person who Trump speaks to more than you?
No, he's a former Prime Minister of the nation, and he's an occasional friend of Donald Trump's. He supports Donald Trump when he's going up, and he doesn't support Donald Trump when he's going down. And I've supported him consistently now for almost a decade.
Indeed, even when he was lying about the election results, and presumably even now that he's pardoning and releasing violent criminals. He's never met a billionaire he doesn't like. Do we know why Nigel Farage was photographed with Conor McGregor while he was in Washington, D.C.?
No, we don't know. I've tried to get to the bottom of this, but have not found any answers for you on this one. But not a good look, is it?
If you're not familiar with Conor McGregor's recent activities, you would have to... probably look it up to establish precisely why he probably shouldn't have found himself being photographed with the former MMA fighter who lost a civil case recently, a civil rape case in Ireland last year.
Assault. Yeah.
So we've got Andrew Tate, Farage saying they've got a lot in common and they appeal to the same sort of people. Now he's being photographed with this character.
With friends like those.
Conor McGregor. I don't know.